Democratic and other lawmakers are pushing Congress to take action in combating gun violence across the country.
Yeah. Well, this comes, of course, just 2 days after a shooter killed 3 children and 3 adults at a private school in Nashville, Tennessee.
We gather here today not simply as elected officials and members of Congress, but more importantly, as moms, as parents, as Americans, demanding that House Republicans put people over politics and put kids over guns.
President Biden also urged members of Congress on both sides of the aisle to pass an assault weapons ban while speaking in North Carolina on Tuesday.
Joining us now for more on this from Capitol Hill is CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. Scott, this sounds familiar, right? Democrats calling for action on gun safety laws, as they describe them, while Republicans, at least some Republicans who've been appearing on CBS, and certainly the man who represents the district in Nashville, says he's not convinced limiting and banning AR-15s or high-capacity weapons would make any difference. Where is the conversation on Capitol Hill right now on any potential changes?
That's a good question, Errol, especially in light of what happened last year after the Uvalde school shootings. There was a legislative push in Washington that yielded some success, with something that was at the same time the biggest gun reform bill in a generation and simultaneously considered way too incremental and way too small, incentivizing those red flag laws and expanding some background checks. There isn't a kernel of bipartisan movement towards gun reform in this new Congress. You have a divided Congress, a Republican House, Senate Democrats leading the show there, and there's been no meeting of the minds, no discussions to note, no leadership movement. There really is nothing to report in terms of gun reform efforts this moment, at this time, and that in itself is quite newsworthy.
You know, before the shooting occurred on Monday, everybody was talking about TikTok. That was the biggest happening in many cases there on the Hill. Is there anything more on that proposal to ban TikTok in the U.S., just to make sure that we're not forgetting about some of these other high-profile issues that people care about?
That's a much different situation because there is a kernel of bipartisan support for a move on TikTok. Late today, CBS News learns that the U.S. Senate will have some type of unanimous consent vote, an attempt to pass into law through the U.S. Senate a firm ban on TikTok. It's not likely to succeed, but in the U.S. House, in the coming weeks, we're told, there'll be new legislation for a more targeted ban on TikTok that could yield the elusive bipartisan support. That's something on the radar here in Congress that's worth keeping an eye on because there is some meeting of the minds, some agreement that some federal move to restrict or ban TikTok is necessary and possible.
Incredible what lawmakers can agree on and what they can't agree on. All right, Scott MacFarlane, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.